We've got back-to-back really, really good cards. I don't know what the hell we did to deserve this, but I'll take it, I guess, you know? Carlos Prates and Garry this Saturday. They fight. Where is this taking place, actually? Now I think about it. Send me location. Kansas City. Okay. Missouri, I guess. I'm going to give you guys a prediction for every fight on the card. Breakdowns, all that fun stuff. So, first up, we've got Chelsea Chandler versus Jocelyn Edwards. Chelsea Chandler's a little bit of a weight bully, at least weight-wise, maybe not height-wise, but she is like a thick girl. And she's not terrible, but I think Jocelyn Edwards is a lot more dynamic. There's a lot of things that you look for in women's MMA. The first is you look immediately to see who looks more like a man. And if they look like a man, you pick them. That's just how it goes. In this instance, you then turn to who's in better shape and who actually knows how to land a punch, because a lot of times in women's MMA you see that they just throw punches that aren't even, when they're not even like close to being in range, and they just kind of like scream and throw and they're not even close to like landing at all. And then you look to see if there is someone who doesn't do that, and Jocelyn Edwards doesn't do that. She throws when she knows she's going to land. She has really nice kicks. So originally I did think Chelsea Chandler had a chance to get this done, but then I went and I looked at her Tapology, and losing to Yana Santos in her last fight is just terrible to me, because I think Yana Santos is awful, whereas Jocelyn Edwards has won 4 out of her last 6. One of her losses was to Eileen Perez. She won one of those rounds, I think. I had it 29-28 in that fight, so I think Jocelyn Edwards isn't bad. I think she's sneaky good, especially on the feet. And I don't think that there's any finishing ability at all in Chelsea Chandler, which is another thing that you look for in women's MMA, which if you don't have that, then yikes, you know. We'll take Jocelyn Edwards. I think she gets it done by decision. I think she stays on the outside with her back to the cage and lands little leg kicks at range, deep kicks. I think she gets it done by decision. Next up, Roberto Romero and Timothy Kawamba. Roberto Romero needs to change his haircut. Jesus Christ. What the is going on? The UFC couldn't even get like a good PNG of this guy because his hair is so up. At least braid it before you do that, you know? I am going to take Roberto Romero. I think that he's, especially in his last, if you look at his last fight against David Onama, he did lose, but he did give David Onama a few problems, which I hold a lot of value to, because I do think David Onama is really, really solid. Whereas Timothy Kawamba in his last fight just looked bad. Not to mention he hasn't won in the UFC yet. He's 0-2. And it was to Lucas Almeida. And Lucas Almeida is just not talented. And that before that, it was Balaji. How are you going to a split decision with that guy? That guy's not good. Yeah, which is crazy to say, because that guy's actually, you know, they tried to send him up the unranked rankings, I guess, by fighting Chris Duncan, and then he got guillotined. Patented Chris Duncan guillotine. But I just don't think Timothy Kawamba's very good. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to take Roberto Romero. I think he gets it done by TKO in the first or second round. I think he's just too much of a spaz, and he's going to be pressing forward too much, and Timothy Kawamba's going to get caught by something. We'll take Romero. Next up, Jacqueline Amorim versus Polyana Viana. A lot of people don't want to go against Polyana Viana because she's, you know, this is actually one of the few times that we see, like, both women are somewhat attractive, which is weird. We don't usually get that very often. Normally there's a man fighting, or at least it looks like it. Anyways, sorry. Jacqueline Amorim's going to get a sub in the first or second round. She's way more talented on the ground than Polyana Viana is. It's very prevalent, I think. Which is weird to say, because Polyana Viana isn't terrible on the ground, but she's not good, bro. Like, she looks good on Instagram, you know? That's it. I think she's going to get submitted in the first or second round. I don't see her having any sort of finishing ability against a girl like Jacqueline Amorim, who's very skilled pretty much everywhere, especially on the ground. I think Jacqueline Amorim gets this done. I think minus 470 is about right. I would say that's about right. Cameron Simon versus Malcolm Wellmaker. Oh, man. I don't like this for Cameron Simon, because Malcolm Wellmaker is really, really powerful. Like, crazy powerful. You can look up some of his highlights on YouTube. And with Cameron Simon coming off back-to-back losses to, who was it? It was Peyton Talbot and then Christian Rodriguez, I believe. I don't know how good he's doing mentally, which is, you know, half of the fight game. I don't really like that very much, but I do think he's really slick and he's really good for his age. And when he got TKO'd by Peyton Talbot, it was like Peyton landed the knockout blows, like blows that should just take you out and put you out cold immediately. And they didn't really put Cameron out cold. They kind of just wobbled him, and he just fell into a ground and pound position, and he just kind of took punishment, and the ref stepped in. But it wasn't like he got flatlined, which is good. Which is good, I guess. I'm trying to take positives away from this because I really like Cameron Simon. I just think that it's going to take a lot, like a Peyton Talbot, to put him away. So I think Cameron Simon can just sit out on the outside edge and just pick at range. I'm gonna take Cameron Simon. I think he gets it done by decision. I hope. I really don't want to see Cameron Simon lose 3 in a row and get knocked out again. And I think he's a psycho on the ground, you know? He scrambles like a madman, which is really, really fun to watch. I really like Cameron Simon. I don't like this fight for him because it's terrifying because there is a chance that he gets KO'd, but I'm going to take Cameron Simon. Well, I'm going to look, actually, I want to see what the community thinks. Oh, a lot of people have Wellmaker by KO. This is what I was scared of. I knew people were going to jump on this. Yeah, all right. I'm going to take Cameron Simon by decision. Damon Blackshear versus Alton Gailey. Alton Gailey is like a shorter, stockier guy for the division, which a lot of times comes with power and finishing ability, but he doesn't have that. And he's not very good on the ground, so it's like, okay, do we pick at range then? Even though you're the shorter guy? No. He's just not very well-rounded, whereas Damon Blackshear, his last fight was really pissed me off, even though he got a sub. Because I picked him to beat Cody Gibson, and then in the first round, Cody Gibson was just walking him down, and Damon Blackshear came out just like completely asleep. It looked like he just rolled out of bed. I'm like, hey, dude, wake up, man. He ended up waking up, finally. In the second round, he got a Kimura. I just think Damon Blackshear, being the longer and stronger guy for that matter, I think he's going to be able to take Alton Gailey down and get a sub in the first or second round. I don't see how Alton Gailey's going to be able to do anything about that because he's not a good grappler, and Damon Blackshear's very, very solid grappler. When he does get you to the ground, he usually gets a sub. Like if you look at his finishes, all of his actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of his last 6 wins are by submission. When he does get you down to the ground, he's going to look to finish you, which I really like because let me see Alton Gailey's, and he doesn't have the best record, you know? He's 17-9-2. He doesn't really get submitted though, but I think it's gonna happen because I think Damon Blackshear has the size advantage is just gonna be too much. It's gonna be too much, and Damon Blackshear is a strong dude, and he has good technique. I really like Damon Blackshear. I think he's gonna get it done. Hopefully, he doesn't come out asleep like he did in his last fight. I'm gonna take Damon Blackshear by second round sub. Chris Gutierrez versus John Castaneda. I broke down this fight on I think it was the UFC 313 card is when this was supposed to happen, and John Castaneda had he was supposed to fight the week before UFC 313, and he cut weight and everything, and then the fight got canceled, and then they were going to fight 313, and that got canceled again after he was cutting weight again, and then it got rescheduled to now. And all of the times that I've broken down the John Castaneda fight, I've taken Chris Gutierrez with 5 out of 10 on the confidence. I'm going to do that again. John Castaneda is really lead leg heavy, and Chris Gutierrez he's the guy that Joe Rogan like uses as his like I'm not a casual card because he has such a boner for calf kicks, and Chris Gutierrez loves calf kicks too. He loves throwing calf kicks. We're taking Chris Gutierrez. I think he sits out on the back foot the whole time and just chews up John Castaneda's leg. Pull counters are going to be there. I think he's just a more technical striker, which I said in the last breakdown. If you want that breakdown, it's in the UFC 313 video. I basically just said everything I said here, so who cares? Next fight was supposed to be Evan Elder versus Ahmad Hassanzadeh, and Ahmad Hassanzadeh is a creep loser. He turned himself in, apparently, to authorities on, I don't remember what day it was. Yesterday or the day before, facing 2 felony charges on, he was trying to have sex with like a couple 14-year-olds. He's a weirdo. His country, the age of consent is 12, I believe, or it's like when you show signs of puberty, so there's not even an age of consent. And then he comes over to the US and tries to do the same thing. This guy's a weirdo. Hopefully, I really hope that he gets cut and he's done for. Yeah, man. Pathetic. Disgusting and pathetic, to be honest with you. I've seen some. I'm not gonna go in on the whole MMA guru thing. He said well, and people on Twitter are like, oh, you Muslim hater, and it's like is he though? You know, a trend is a trend. But anyways, but it is this now. This is the fight. Gage Young versus Evan Elder. Gage Young isn't bad, dude, but he lost in the Contender Series and he didn't look crazy good. But like his regional scene fights, he looks decent, you know? He's lead leg heavy. He throws really nice pull counters with his backhand, and he does like to chew up his opponent's leg, which I think will help against Evan Elder, who does like to walk forward and lead with his he goes into combinations a lot with his head first, but I do think that the experience is going to be a little bit of a deciding factor, so to say. So I think Evan Elder does get this done because the forward pressure, I think, might get to Gage Young at some point. He's taking this fight on short notice. So I'm going to take Evan Elder. I think he gets it done by decision. I think that just taking this on short notice against a guy who's just going to pressure you the whole time is not good for Gage Young. But then again, he could land, like, because Evan Elder does walk forward and he does a lot of what Nikita Krylov does, which is, or at least when he gets tired. Early in the fight, he doesn't do that, but as the fight goes, he leads with his head into combinations. I almost just knocked my camera over. Jesus Christ. Which could get him in trouble because I've seen Gage Young on the regional scene land like a clean counter like Dominic Reyes did last week, or it would be 2 weeks ago when this video comes out. So I'm going to take Evan Elder. There is a possibility that Gage Young sleeps him with a counter shot, but I think he gets it done by decision just solely off of pressure. Matt Schnell versus Jimmy Flick. This is a terrible fight. In my last prediction video, I made fun of Matt Schnell. I said that you could pick up a kid with Down syndrome off the street and he could probably KO Matt Schnell. I still hold true to that. I think that you could get like an atom weight women's fighter from like Bellator or something, if they even have that division at Bellator, and they could probably sleep Matt Schnell with a right hand. He has the worst chin, and usually the trade-off there is like, okay, you have no chin, but you got power in your hands, but he doesn't have power in his hands. So it's just like, he's just kind of shit. Okay, so what you're telling me is Jimmy Flick's gonna KO this guy. Jimmy Flick hasn't KO'd anybody at flyweight, dude, like ever. I don't think he has. Has he KO'd anybody at flyweight? Off of my like immediate memory, I don't think he has. He doesn't have a single KO or TKO in his entire career. But it's Matt Schnell, so he could go out, you know? He could just land a stiff jab, and Matt Schnell could just be pulling a Kevin Lee chicken dance. Look that up, by the way. If you don't know that reference, look up Kevin Lee wobbled, or whatever it is. Who was he fighting when he did that? I don't remember. I'm going to take Matt Schnell. Jesus Christ, I hate this. Matt Schnell, I think he might have an advantage on the ground, which is crazy to say because his ground game's terrible. I just don't think this guy, I think he's terrible. I think he's really not good. Alexandre Pantoja slept him with an overhand. Pantoja, one of the biggest pillow punchers in the division, even though he's the champion, he is a monster. Like, you don't see him sleeping people, and he slept Matt Schnell. I'm taking Matt Schnell. I don't know. Minus 265 is crazy. I don't know how that's possible. I don't think Matt Schnell's good, but I guess, you know, we'll take the favorite. Ikram Aliskerov and Andre Muniz. Andre Muniz has like weirdly long arms and weird power as well. Who did he fight in his last fight? Yes, Jeonyeon Park. And it went to a split decision, but he had really good moments. But then you look before that in his Paul Craig performance, which is the one that stands out to me. How are you getting ground and pounded by Paul Craig? Like, Paul Craig's supposed to be the one getting the shit kicked out of him on the ground, and then he pulls a sub out. That's how that's supposed to go, not the other way around, or not even the other way around, just like beating the shit out of you on the ground. Ikram isn't necessarily known for being like a Dagestani wrestler. Is he from Dagestan? I know he's from Russia, but is he from Makhachkala? Okay, never mind. I don't know what I'm talking about. He's not a wrestler, but like, he does have a wrestling base that we've seen, and he's really powerful. I think that if he gets Ikram if he gets Andre Muniz to the ground, I think he's just gonna do the same thing that Paul Craig did, and I think that should be the game plan there, because that is the weakness that Andre Muniz has. That being said, I think Ikram takes him to the ground and gets a TKO in the second or third round. I think the wrestling base is just gonna be there, and it's gonna show. I think minus 650, by the way, is crazy. I don't know how we came to that conclusion. What are the I'm gonna check the community picks. They have Ikram by TKO. 95% have Ikram winning. Maybe I'm being harsh. Maybe minus 650 is right. Andre Muniz isn't terrible, dude. Just the Paul Craig thing, I think, stands out to a lot of people. Randy Brown versus Nicholas Dalby. I'm a really big believer in Randy Brown, dude. I really like watching Randy Brown fight, but this is not a good matchup for him. His last fight against Brian Battle, I count that as a win. So if you count that as a win, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 of his last 9 opponents he's beaten, and the one that he lost to was Jack Della Maddalena. He's really good, dude. The problem that he had in the Bryan Battle fight was that he was getting held up against the cage, and Bryan Battle was trying to wear him out, which is the way that Nicholas Dalby wins his fights. It's just by wearing you out. He did it against Gabriel Bonfim. Just walk forward, eat shots, and wear you out until you've gassed yourself out, and he's just gonna pounce on you, and you're not gonna be able to do anything because you're so tired. He's a cardio warrior. I think Nicholas Dalby has the opportunity to hold him up against the cage and get him tired, but I think Randy Brown might just be too long. I think that he can sit with his back on the cage, maybe not on the cage, but toward the cage, and pick at range. And I think it'll be enough for him to win a 29-28 decision. I think he loses the 3rd round because that's when Nicholas Dalby turns up the heat. But I think for the first 2 rounds, I think Randy's just going to land cleaner shots and circle off of the cage when Nicholas Dalby does go to clinch. He's just going to land the bigger, better shots in the first 2 rounds. And then the 3rd round, he might start to get a little bit tired. Nicholas Dalby turns up the heat, tries to look for a finish. It's not going to happen. Randy Brown's going to get a 29-28 decision. Abus Magomedov versus Mikhail Pereira. It's just like, why did we put this together? This is just like the battle of the worst gas tanks. It's like, who's gonna gas out first? This is just fucking terrible, dude. Abus Magomedov in his last fight, his gas tank didn't look terrible. He throws so much into everything, but he didn't throw as much. Wow, everybody thinks that Mikhail Pereira is gonna TKO him. I don't think so. I think Abus Magomedov is if Abus Magomedov doesn't get KO'd in the first round, I think he wins. I think he wins a decision. Or late finish. He could get a late finish. I'm going to take Abus Magomedov by late finish. I think Mikhail's going to gas himself out in the first round, as he does, and just not get a finish. Am I going to switch my pick? But the only time that Mikhail Pereira didn't finish someone recently in the first round was Anthony Hernandez, who's just one of those like thick-bodied Mexican dudes that just can't go out. But he finished everybody before that. Chaos Williams, Nico, I didn't finish these guys. He won by decision. But like before that, Andrei Petrosky, Mikhail Alexeychuk, Ihor Peteria. He's standing guillotined Ihor Peteria in the first round, This is just going to be a head-on collision. Like 2 cars just going 150 miles an hour at each other and just boom, in the first round. Abus is going to be throwing the body kicks, switch kicks to the body that sound like gunshots. Mikhail's going to be doing backflips. And it's just like whoever lands first in the first round might win. I'm taking Abus, I guess, by late finish maybe, because that was what happened in his last fight, wasn't it? He got a sub late. Yeah, he triangle choked Bruno Ferreira in the 3rd round. I'll take Abus by late finish. Giga Chikadze versus David Onama. This is another disgusting fight that I just don't know. I don't want to pick a winner. David Onama's solid, but he gets hurt a lot. But Giga Chikadze just gets so tired right away every fight. What does the community think about this? I know I keep looking at this and I don't want to base my pick off of it, but like, they have Giga Chikadze by decision. That's what I have written down here. I'm going to take Giga Chikadze by decision as well. His gas tank didn't look terrible. It did. What am I saying? It did. He looked bad. The first round he comes out hot, hence the reason he always gasses out. But again, he's kind of like an Abus Magomedov almost. Like very violent kicks to the body. He'll go upstairs also with high kicks. But he throws so much into him. Dude, he has like kind of a build like Javid Basharat. You know what I mean? Look up Javid Basharat. I don't heavily edit these prediction videos. Normally I would put it up on the screen, but he looks like Javid Basharat. His like head is too big for his like frail little body, which normally means that you get KO'd often, but he doesn't. Yeah, dude, he took like a beating from Calvin Kattar and he never got put out. He never got like, he got wobbled. What am I talking about? But not like, he never got put out, which is crazy. I'm going to take Giga. I think he gets it done by decision. I think he wins the first 2 rounds. I think that the output is just going to be too much. He's going to hurt David Onama early, and David Onama is going to be then reluctant to get into any sort of close range trading. In the 3rd round, he's going to realize that Giga's starting to fade a little bit, and he'll win the 3rd round. And I think Giga wins a 29-28 decision. Or Giga could put him away early with a liver kick. When was the last time he did that, though? I've been talking about this fight for too long. Cub Swanson, Cub Swanson in 2021. I don't think he gets a finish. We'll take Giga by decision. Anthony Smith versus Zhang Mingyong. This is an easy fight to pick. Zhang Mingyong is gonna sleep Anthony Smith. in the first or second round. No way around it. Anthony Smith, well, maybe not sleep, because Anthony Smith doesn't really get slept. He takes one really brutal shot, and then he'll kind of curl up on the ground, because his skull is like more bone marrow than it is brain, so like he can take a shot, but like it still can wobble him, you know what I mean, if that makes sense. Anyways, Jong Min Young he's nasty, bro. I'm not gonna lie, he's really good. Holy shit, he's on a huge streak. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 fight finish streak. Oh my god, they're all first round finishes. Oh my god, they're all first round finishes. I didn't realize it was that prevalent. Yeah, I mean, I already had him by first round finish, but like now after seeing this, I didn't even look at this yet. Holy shit. And I don't think he's going to do something stupid like Vitor Petrino did, where he's just going to like shove his head into a guillotine. He's not going to do that. I think Jong Min Young's fight IQ is actually decent, and he's so powerful, like so unbelievably powerful. And he does it in all sorts of ways. Right hooks, ground and pound finishes, elbows. He has everything. And Anthony Smith doesn't, because Anthony Smith sucks. And I've been saying that for so long. This is a retirement fight. He needs to retire after this. If he doesn't, cut him, because I don't want to break down another Anthony Smith fight. Main event, Carlos Prates versus Ian Garry. Like, all the cuck stuff aside, or whatever, you know, that people think is funny online, I never really, I don't know. The ways that Carlos Prates has lost in his career have been by sub. It was a long time ago. It was very long ago in his career when he was losing by submission. Now he's on 11 fight win streak, dude. All by finish. He has such weird power. And another thing that I wanted to note, Ian Garry, when he fought MVP and when he fought Shavkat, the punches that were landing and the punches that Ian was having trouble with were straight shots. He has a lot of trouble with that's coming straight at him. Because Carlos Prates, comparable pound for pound wise, if this makes sense at all, to Pereira's left hook. Like, he has the touch of death. Like, he clipped this knuckle on Neil Magny's like upper temple, and he's just snoring. And he does it in so many different ways too. Like, just up, like straight down the pipe. That's his game. It's how he puts people away. But Ian Garry said he's gonna sleep Carlos Prates. When was the last time we saw that? His pull counter and like his debut? Daniel Rodriguez with that head kick? And Ian Garry does have a good chin. But we saw him get dropped against Song Kanan. Song Kanan threw this, like, Ian Garry was just like sitting in range. Kanan's back is to the cage. Ian Garry's like ripping to the body, and everyone sees like this slow motion left hook come up and clip him. But he didn't see it. It's like, bro, that was a long time ago. But Carlos Prates has this touch of death, man. And he's a fighting nerd. I said in the UFC 314 predictions, I think Bryce Mitchell has a very good chance of winning this, but Gene Silva is a fighting nerd, and I can't go against the fighting nerds. It's the same thing. What am I supposed to do? I can't just like, he's a fighting nerd, man, who cares? And then just like try to break down the fight. No, like, he's a fighting nerd. They're 19-0 with what, like 11 finishes in the UFC? Like, can't just speed past that, you know? And I think Carlos Prates is going to be the one moving forward. I don't think it's going to be like the Neil Magny fight, where Neil Magny's trying to like throw a bunch of flurries at him and just hope something connects and like wears Carlos out. I don't think it's going to be like that. I think Carlos is going to be walking him down, trying to draw out a shot from Ian. Like the fighting nerds, if you watch Caio Borralho fight, if you watch Gene Silva fight, when they do get threatened with grappling exchanges, they tend to use threats as their takedown defense. Like Gene Silva's ninja choke, or the head's on the outside, he threatens guillotines. You see Caio Borralho, he'll throw those inside elbows to the head, or just hammer fists. They use threats, and that kind of makes the aggressor, the person trying to take them down, usually makes them stop and change the position. And that's when the fighting nerds make that exchange worth their time, and they flip it and find a reversal, which I think is going to be the case here too. I think Carlos Prates is going to be moving forward, and he's going to draw that shot out of Ian Garry. Ian Garry might get in on like a single leg or something, and Carlos is going to be able to land those hammer fists. I don't think he's going to be looking for a submission like Gene Silva did, because I don't think he's as dynamic as Gene Silva, to be quite honest with you. But I think he's going to find a way to break away from it, and Ian Garry might get hurt from those kind of like inside elbows or hammer fists, and Carlos is just going to walk him down, and he's going to land a huge right hand down the pipe, and I think Ian's going to go out. Which is crazy to say, because Ian Garry's really good, dude, and he's training with Charles Oliveira and Damian Maia. But then again, his entries aren't good. But once he does get there, it's like, it is dangerous because he almost got Shavkat. Shavkat though. Shavkat's a pussy, dude. Yeah, I'm taking Carlos Prates. What is did I look at the community thing? Do people think Carlos Prates is going to sleep him? People think Ian Garry's going to win. Okay. Not even a lot of them by submission, just by decision. For 5 rounds? I don't know. I think Carlos Prates gets a second round TKO. Or just flatline KO for that matter. Because why wouldn't it be? Because he's a fighting nerd and they just seem to get highlights. Shout out to Ian Garry, by the way, too, for taking this fight on short notice. He didn't even know who he was going to fight. He had no idea who he was going to fight. He was just like, yeah, I'll be there. Kansas City. Cool. Someone signed the contract. Doesn't matter. Ian Garry's fucking awesome. I don't care what you say. I don't care about any of this cuck shit that you guys think is funny. Ian Garry's a dog. And he has a lot of cool highlights too, man. So you can go f*** yourself. I think Ian Garry's cool. Appreciate you guys for watching. Sick card. What's next week? I think we have a shit card next week. Oh, it's Corey versus Figueiredo. And Bo Nickel, De Ritter, Ponzinibbio, Daniel Rodriguez. The Taffa brothers back. Okay, never mind. It fell off a cliff after the main and the co-main. Dude, when does, what's his face fight? The kid from Michael Morales. I didn't even have to finish looking it up. When does he fight? He's one of my favorite prospects. We're kind of getting off topic now. May 17th? What card is that? After UFC 315. Okay. I don't know why that name popped into my head, but I want to see that kid fight. He's good. Appreciate you guys. I'll see you in the next one.